are set for our East Coast Towing and Recovery Spectator drags. A full, healthy field of inside. Here we go, first matchup. Liam Monahan on the outside and John Fielding down on the inside. They're nose to nose. They work down the backstretch into turn 3 and 4. Coming off turn 4, give the advantage. Fielding across the stripe. John Fielding gonna knock off Liam Monahan and move on. Coventry, Rhode Island, 1984 Chevy Camaro. DeRoziers down the bottom, Franz Weidinger up top here. DeRoziers on the low line, has the advantage. Here comes Weidinger, battling back up top, down the backstretch. DeRoziers into 3 and 4. Matt DeRoziers looking for the Perry down low. Bradstreet gets a great jump. Off turn 2, down the backstretch. Bradstreet leading the way. Into 3 and 4, checker flag. Gil Bradstreet gonna move on. D4 East Coast Towing and Recovery Spectator drag champion. He's been battling some issues here. Last couple of spectator drags. Thinks he hasn't worked out here tonight. He'll match up against Nathan Williams from Forestdale, Subaru WRX 2017. Mello. Williams up top, green flag, down into turn 1. Carlito Mello with the advantage. Down the backstretch. Here comes Williams with the crossover, looking on the low line. Off turn 4, hold the advantage and move on. Here today, he'll match up against Sam Hernandez from West Warwick, Rhode Island, 1994 Chevy Camaro. And just like that, Jared Smith is gone. Down into turn 3 and 4. Big advantage, off 4. Across the stripe, checkered flag. Jared Smith gonna knock off Sam Hernandez there. Jay Silva from Riverside, Rhode Island, 2010 Chevy Camaro. Green flag in the air. Down into turn 1. The advantage to Silva, down the backstretch. The flex, not flexing here. Checkered flag waves. Jay Silva gonna move on. Green flag is out. Motoring down into turn number 1. Garaga. On the bottom, he's going to go up, crossover move. Here comes Volkswagen on the low line into 3 and 4. There. Nieva going to move on. And Tony Marcan from Everett, Mass. Ford Taurus, 2015. Green flag in the air, down into 1. Wickenback with the advantage on the low line here. Down the backstretch, Wickenback, smooth sailing into 3 and 4. Looks like a police chase here, off turn 4. Checkered flag waves, Walter Wickenback on the way to the next round. Princeton, Rhode Island, Pontiac Firebird, 1995. Reed up top. Birkin down low. Green flag into 1. Birkin jumps to the advantage in the Mustang. Off turn 2, down the backstretch. Into 3 and 4. Looks like something went wrong for James Reed there. Birkin moving on. Matching up against Josh Jutras from Warwick, Rhode Island. 1992 Chevy Camaro, green flag in the air. Down into turn number 1. Up top, Jutras. Down low. Down into turn 1. Fazio with the advantage. Up top. Does the crossover down to the bottom lane. Into 3 and 4. Smooth sailing. Checkered flag waving at the stripe. Fazio gonna move on. Green flag in the air down into turn number 1. On the bottom line here, the Volkswagen. That's all we are leading the way. Slams into her shot on the Honda. Into 3 and 4. Flag waving at the stripe. They're gonna move on. Matching up with Anthony Cullihan. Down into 1. Here comes Fierro on the high line. Louis Diaz gonna move on. Up against Craig Winicki in his Nissan. Flag out. Gerard down into 1 and 2. Brandon Gerard in the Audi, leading the way. Gerard off turn 4. Brandon Gerard gonna move on. David Medeiros. Daniels hails from Richmond, Rhode Island. Medeiros from Berkeley, Mass. Green flag in the air. Daniels gets a good jump on Medeiros. Sails it hard into turn 1 and 2. Off 2 down the backstretch. Into 3 and 4. Daniels. Jeff Daniels. Moving on. Orange. Kia. Stinger. David Hall. Quenbag. Connecticut. Matching up against Green is out down into 3 and 4. The Stinger leading the way. Checkered flag waving. In here. Flag in the air. Joseph in that Vega. Down the backstretch into 3 and 4. Andrew Joseph leading the way. Off turn 4. Joseph gonna move on. Matching up against Michael Oliveira here from Pawtucket, Rhode Island. Flag in the air. Down into 1 and 2. Oliveira leading the way. Into 3 and 4. Coming off 4. Michael Oliveira leading. Henshaw. Oliveira moving on. So, while we got a quick lull in the action since 1976, we welcome back to the Knights of Columbus, Chapter 5108 of Seekonk. Down into 1 and 2, we've got Paul Curtis matching up against Jacob Sylvia. Into 3 and 4, Curtis leading the way. Paul Curtis, 1964, Chevy Chevelle. Checkered flag waves, Curtis gonna move on. At the strike, ready to go. Down into 1 and 2. Kazunas gets a great jump. 1984 Chevy C10, Tom Kazunas, smooth sailing into 3 and 4. Checkered flag waving. Kazunas gonna move on. Here comes Rat Robs. Rob Gingras from Fairhaven. this next matchup, Sean Fitzgerald and Joseph Colby. Fitzgerald. Across the stripe, Fitzgerald gonna move on in that one.
AC doesn't work, he's looking for a cross breeze.
Green flag is down. Johnny Turbo in the Subaru on the high line here. He gets the advantage over Lynch down the back stretch. Into 3 and 4. Lynch, he's gonna hang on. Johnny Turbo, move on.
Now if you're gonna lose, do it in style. Get over and crank that window up.
VWGT 2016, green flag in the air. Buchanan on the low line here. The Malibu up top. Down the backstretch, Buchanan with the advantage. Into 3 and 4. On 4, checkered flag waves. Kyle Buchanan moving on.
Yeah, the
Flag in the air. Down into 1. Paul Simon said, just call me Al, that's what we'll do. Al, cruising. Moving on.
all right, the run phase is back.
Ski. Green flag down. Into 1. The Miata with the advantage. Little landscaping there by the Camaro. John Gallant into 3 and 4. Gallant top 4, checkered flag waves. The Miata, all sorts of loose going into 1. He gets the checkered flag. Not one bit.
Jumping on the start.
Oh, he's all sorts of loose off too. Into 3 and 4. Bringing jumping. And move on. McNamara putting on a show off turn 4. Green is out. Into turn 1, DeRoches has the low line here. Bushes fielding up the track. Into 3 and 4, DeRoches leading the way. Off. And DeRoches gonna move on. Recovery Spectator drags. He's battling gremlins here the last couple of minutes. Down into 1. Brad Street up top. Here they go. Off turn 2. Down the backstretch. Carlito Mello opens up that advantage. Slams it over. He's going to get the lead straight. Not enough time. Carlito Mello moving on. Slip sliding in turn 3. Jared Smith with a handful of podiums and led 2 in victory. Last East Coast going in recovery Spectator drags. Down into turn 1. Smith up top here. Gonna have to battle off turn 2. He does. He jumps over the advantage. Dive bombs it into turn number 3. Off turn 4. Smith gonna continue and move on. In the Camaro. Screen is out. Not so much. We'll try that again.
Oops. I think it should be a 3-car length penalty.
Into turn 1. Wicket back. Moves down the track. office. Great to have you here again. The Red Dragon, Christine Chambers out there. Matching up against Morgan Market. They work down into turn 1. The Red Dragon gets the advantage, working down the backstretch into turn 3. Christine Chambers. Off turn 4, Chambers wins. The Red Dragon moving on. Green is out, down into 1. Oliveira with the advantage on the low line. Here comes Fazio looking for a crossover off turn 2. Down the bottom line here, into 3 and 4. Oliveira working. They battle nose to nose on turn 4. Who's it gonna be? Give it to Fazio across the stripe. Down into turn 1. Diaz, Gerard. Nose to nose in 1 and 2. Off 2, down the backstretch. Gerard gets the advantage. Into 3 and 4. On turn 4. Gerard's gonna move on. Orange Kia Stinger. Green is out, down into 1. Daniels gets a good jump.
Looks like he got stumped.
The Kia is stuck. Daniels into 3 and 4. Jeff Daniels. Jeff Daniels going to move on. 1975 Chevy Vega. Chevy Camaro, 1988, into 1 and 2. Down the backstretch. Into 3 and 4.
Yeah, those two vehicles weigh a ton each.
Absolutely. Green is out. Curtis on the high line. Kazuna's going to get his hands full there in 1. Going to have to battle back. Curtis with the advantage into 3 and 4. Penny hold on. Curtis moving on. Gingras. Flag is out. Johnny Turbo gets a good jump. Into 1 and 2. Working down the backstretch. Smooth sailing. Johnny Turbo into 3 and 4. Off turn 4, checkered flag waves. Johnny Turbo moving on. At the stripe. Green is out. Down into 1. It's the Camaro. Leading the way. Over the Miata. Into 3 and 4. L.R. Martez. DeRoches. On the high line here. DeRoches gets a great jump. Into 3 and off turn 2, down into 3 and 4. Matt DeRoches leading the way. Off turn. Matt DeRoches going to Brendan Duffy and move on. Win in the East Coast Towing Recovery Spectator drags here. Green is out, down into 1. Mello with the advantage. Smith gonna have to battle back. Smith right to the back bumper. Mello slams the door. Into 3 and 4. Smith. No door open. Down. Time. Carlito Mello moving in the Audi. Jumps to the lead. Down the back stretch. Brandon Gerard. Off turn 4. Sideways. Gerard moving field down. Down into 1 and 2. Daniels with the advantage. Off turn 2. The Subaru into 3 and 4. Vintage. Both. 1. Rat Rocks up top. Curtis down low. Here we go. Down the back stretch. Rat Rocks comes out to lead. Into 3 and 4. Moving on. Green flag in the air. Johnny Turbo comes out to the advantage there. Into 1 and 2. Off turn 2. Johnny Turbo leading the way. Into 3 and 4. Checkered flag. First shot. Johnny Turbo. Matt DeRozier says found his way this year. Carlito Mello, both podium and wins. Carlito Mello leading the way, off turn 2, down the backstretch. Into 3 and 4. Carlito Mello going on. The Red Dragon makes her way back out. There is still a potential for husband and wife to Gingras, the low line. Green is out, down into 1. Gerard up top. Gerard holding on. Sailing into 3 and 4 on the high line up top. Can't get it. Gerard moving on. Matching up against Jeff Daniels. Radloff gets the advantage. Here comes Daniels. On the line. Oh, very close. Down into 3 and 4. Radloff opens up the advantage. Here comes Johnny Turbo.
Don't do that, honey, I want to.
Carlito Mello. At the stripe. Set to go. Screen is out. Carlito Mello down into 1 with the advantage. Off turn 2, Carlito Mello opening up that advantage over Johnny Turbo. Turbo trying to work back to the rear bumper. Not going to be enough time. Off turn 4, Carlito Mello going to move on. Jeff Daniels, into 1 and 2. Gerard with the advantage. Off turn 2, down the backstretch. Here comes Daniels trying to cross over. Gerard works up the track. Brandon Gerard moving on. Lanes out, down into 1. Daniels gets the early advantage up top there. Into 1 and 2. Off 2, down the backstretch. Johnny Turbo going to have to battle back. Jeff Daniels into 3 and 4. Jeff Daniels takes home 3rd place over Johnny Turbo. 4. Gerard keeps it in its advantage. I don't know. Gerard gonna get that first matchup. So you know what that means? If Brandon Gerard takes home this matchup, he wins the East Coast Towing and Recovery Spectator Drags today. If Carlito Mello has been on fire today. Green is out. Down into 1. Carlito Mello stalls it. Brandon Gerard collects the win. Carlito Mello takes home second place. A lot of people you want to thank on this first win.
Yep, I'd love to thank my girlfriend for dealing with me working on this thing non-stop, and NWD for sponsoring me. They paid for the tent. It looks nice. They support me doing this, so shout out to them.
Brandon Gerard, your winner here in the East Coast Towing and Recovery Spectator Drags. Making our way over to your 2024 East Coast Towing and Recovery Spectator Drag champion, Carlito Mello. Got the trophy. What happened?
First of all, I want to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Got a bunch of people today. Lost the alternator. Lost the belt to the water pump alternator power steering during race 1 against Brennan. I don't know. Did we tie? Did I beat him? Did he beat me? Lost the launch. Save the car for another day. I want to shout out Melissa's father, Peter Hayes. He just got sent up to Jesus Christ last night. If you haven't gave your life to Christ, give it to him now, because tomorrow ain't promised. Nothing's more important. Shout out Seekonk Speedway. Shout out Brothers Tires. 781 Motorsports. Mike Vincent.
Back on the podium, Carlito Mello making our way over to our third place winner here on the podium, Jeff Daniels in the Subaru. What more do you need to battle with these two guys today?
I mean, between the three of us, we're all so close that it can kind of just come down to lane choice or just a bad start. I've run both these guys, and it's super close between all three of us. And I actually blew up my engine racing into the first race of the season, so I was trying to get it back. That was a fun race.
Back on the podium, anybody you want to thank?
My parents, my girlfriend, my tutor, all the fans out here that come out and come watch us. It's awesome to race in front of the crowd. I tell you what.
Brandon Gerard bringing home the East Coast Towing and Recovery Spectator Drag win here today. Carlito Mello second, and Jeff Daniels bringing it home on the podium in third.
Well, you still got a little bit of time, ladies and gentlemen, to get